Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we got another IEM review, and that is this IEM right here on my desk. This is Truthear Hexa. So a little bit of explanation about this IEM. This thing came out around, like, I want to say 1.5, maybe 2 years ago, probably more than 1.5 year ago. And this was kind of hyped a lot. There was a lot of reviewers out there calling this basically the Jesus second coming. This was the Messiah of IEMs. That it's beating out all the competition in the sub $100 price range, and that it's competing with the like a $200 plus $300 IEMs even. And it's an excellent thing, and it's a no-brainer choice for anyone just buying an IEM in this price range. So today we're gonna talk about this thing. Today we're gonna go through the details of the sound. We're gonna do a comparison, and we're gonna see where it stands in this price range, if it is actually this good as they claim. And also there has been a few, not lots, but a few reviews out there that call in this like the other way of the other side of the spectrum, that this is like very overhyped and it's not worth it. It's super boring. And we're gonna see that what's that about. And yeah, we're gonna talk about the details over here. I've been using this thing for the last, I wanna say, around 8 to 9 months. So yeah, I've been living with this thing. I listened to this thing a lot. So yeah, we're gonna talk about all the sound, and we're gonna see what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses of this IEM, and who is this for, and be realistic about it. So without any further ado, let's do a quick speed run of every non-sound stuff first. Starting with, well, the box. I mean, I'm not gonna mention much about it, but I just wanna mention a couple of characteristics. As you can see, here's the graph and every information you might need. You can take a look. But the driver configuration is a 1 dynamic DD and 3 balanced armatures, which is not really important. But more importantly, the impedance of 20 ohms and a sensitivity of 120. So what does that mean? Well, it's easy to drive, but I wanted to mention that when I wanted to purchase this IEM, I saw one reviewer on YouTube that say that this thing really shined when it was given enough power and amplification. And then that prompted me to go ahead and ask on Reddit from 2 people that had this, that if it's true and it's gonna really actually improve with sound, with like a proper amplification, with a good DAC amp. And they said, yeah, there's a difference, but it's not super big difference, but it's also, yeah, it's a noticeable enough difference. So that prompted me again to go ahead and purchase a DAC amp, which I no longer have here to show you. I purchased the Moondrop Down Pro. It's a dongle DAC amp. As far as dongle DAC amps go, it's a pretty good one. It has a dual DAC chip, and it has plenty of power, so that should be enough. So was this true? Was this statement true that it needs power? And no, but yes. Let me explain. There was a noticeable difference when I was using the low gain switch and high gain switch on the Moondrop Down Pro. Yeah, compared to low gain and high gain, there was a noticeable difference in high gain. There was a lot of sound opening up, the note weight heavily increased, and yeah, there was a noticeable difference. But it wasn't a night and day difference, but it was noticeable enough, as just as the people on Reddit mentioned. These 2 people that I asked. But more importantly, I wanted to say that it's not really a necessary thing. If you have a like a simple like Apple dongle, just a cheap dongle in around $10, even 20, like it's gonna be fine. I use my own Apple dongle with this thing, and it sounds just like the high gain one on the Moondrop Down Pro. So yeah, you definitely don't need to go ahead and purchase anything special for this thing. First of all, it drives easily even on your phone, on anything. There's no volume issues with it, that's gonna not have enough volume. But also, yeah, you're not gonna get a noticeable difference unless you have like a switch of low gain and high gain on your DAC amp. But yeah, with a simple dongle like the Apple dongle and anything like that, like the Few KA11, I think. Yeah, there's a lot of good options in this price range, $10. Yeah, you're gonna be completely fine. It sounds as much as just as good as the high gain and like a more expensive DAC amp. So yeah, save your money. You definitely don't need it to get a noticeable improvement there. Moving on from that, let's go ahead and talk about other parts of this accessories. And yeah, let's take a look at the carrying bag that it comes with thing. As you can see, this is the bag. It's not real leather. But I really like this thing. It's simple, and I like that it's super spacious. As you can see, it fits these things in it completely easily. I use this thing still. It feels really pocketable too, and it's flexible, as you can see. Yeah. That's a really good point about this thing. It comes, I believe, with a Truthear Zero Red and Zero Blue. Yeah, maybe other things that I'm not aware of. Moving on from that, more importantly, I do want to talk shortly about the ear tips over here. As you can see, this is the sheet that the ear tips come with this IEM. So it has two sets of this, and the difference between these two is that these are the wide bore ones and there are narrow bore ones. As you can see, wide bore ones have less of a height in this axis and more width, and this is the opposite way. These are more bullet shaped type. I'm sorry. Alright. These are more bullet shaped type, they're not as wide. So, and they're not as super long too. But as you can see, like the differences. So what is the difference? Well, there's a difference in fit. So if one of these don't fit you properly, you can use the other one. First of all, these wide bore ones, as you can see, they have a wider spread on the base, and they're supposed to fit on the entrance of your ear canal. If you put them in your ear and you push them too far in, you can easily tell that, oh, the seal breaks immediately and the sound just ruins. So definitely beware, if you're using this thing, you're not supposed to get a deep fit. It's just a shallow fit on the entrance of your ear canal. But compared to this thing, it's the complete other way around. Like you want to get a deeper fit inside your ear canal. These are supposed to sit inside and get a still for you there. You push them in. You need to push them in. It's not just gonna sit on the entrance. So, but what's the sound difference? There was a slight sound difference between these two as well. Like, first of all, any sound that I'm describing and every other YouTuber and reviewer you're seeing being described is using the wide bore ones. So the wide bore ones are the more brighter, they are the more brighter sounds. So compared to these two, if you use the narrow bore ones, switch from the wide bore to the narrow bores, as I did first when I got this thing, I was using the wide bore tips on it for a while, and then I switched to the narrow ones. And yeah, the narrow ones definitely. So if you feel like the bass is lacking with the wide bore ones, the narrow ones boost the bass a little bit. It doesn't change the characteristics and the bass profile. No, it doesn't change the bass significantly. It just slightly increases the volume. You could say it increases the quantity of the bass with the narrow bores. And yeah, I could say like the treble slightly is pulled back, but that might be an impression of not like having more bass to balance it out. So yeah, if you find it a little bit bright, you can fine tune it. You can fine tune it and make it less bright with the narrow bore ones. And the foam ones, if you like foams and you can work with foam tips, yeah, they're really good too. I tried them once and I really hate foam tips, so I couldn't live with them. But yeah, they sound really good actually. They sound fine. They sound somewhere between these two, sound wise. And the tip, well, it's just the comfort is just, you know, it's foam tip. So if you can live with them, yeah, you're gonna like them. They're fine. I believe there's nothing else to mention about these ear tips. And yeah, so I would like suggest these are really good ear tips too. Like you could definitely just live with the default stock ear tips. They're really good quality as well too. Like yeah, definitely they're no slouch. You could use them totally. But as you can see, what I'm using right now, these are the SpinFit W1 ear tips. They have a general characteristics of the wide bore ones, and they're supposed to again sit on the entrance of your ear canal. They're not the deep fitting ones, and yeah, they give you more of a brighter sound, more detailed, more treble, less bassy, and more technical, more analytical sound, right? And that's what I've been using. I use the Dunu SNS tips on this too. They sound just fine. Again, they sound similar to, again, somewhere between these two. Yeah, and let me see, if I tried other like off-brand ear tips on them too. They sounded okay, but these are the ear tips that sounded the best. I use the SpinFit W1 because it has this grippy texture to it, and it's very comfortable. Again, but sound-wise, it's not really different at all from the wide bore ones. You could just live with the wide bore ones. It's just a comfort thing. So, moving on from the ear tips, and let me put this aside. So what should we talk about? Should we talk about the cable? Well, we could quickly mention the cable. Yeah, it's a very no nonsense, no headache kind of cable. Like there's nothing special to talk about it, and I really like it. It's really simple and it's one of the best behaving cables. Like might not be the best looking cable, but it behaves very well. As you can see, I'm gonna give it a wrap, and you can see it just behaves very well with the wrap. Like as you can see, and it stays right there. It doesn't have any like memory or any weird stiffness to it. Definitely it's a super light cable too, and I really like it. It's kind of like a super simple aesthetic and super comfortable and no nonsense, right? And I love that about it. And again, it uses these 2-pin connectors, and I really love these 2-pin connectors because they're small connectors, and you could definitely use this cable on other IEMs as well. Yeah, and you can replace these cables on this IEM easily as well. And like, if I can show you, yeah, it's just there's no recession, there's no any weird protrusion with these connectors over here on these shells. It's an excellent shell. It's an excellent connector. Yeah. So if I put this back in, I have zero complaints about this thing. So yeah, moving on from that, maybe I should just mention the shell as well. So the shell with this thing is again great shell. Like there's nothing bad to talk about it. I haven't seen any issues on Reddit. People saying that this shell is bad quality, that it breaks. I haven't seen any posts about, and I see a lot of posts about Hexa, but none of them say that it broke or it's a bad quality build quality. Yeah, nothing about that. It has this like this shaped, like jagged edges aesthetic to it, which kind of reminds me of the Cybertruck, and I kind of wanted to call this the Cybertruck IEM, but nonetheless, it's really beautiful. But you might think that it's uncomfortable in your ear because it has these edges, but it's totally not the case. It's completely comfortable in that sense, because on the other side of it, you can see there's a lot of contours and soft edges over here, which is the part that's sitting inside your ear. So you're completely gonna be fine with the fit on this thing. From the shell wise, right? It's not super big, it's on the medium size, medium, even small, I could say. Yeah, but I do want to mention, talking about the nozzle as well. The nozzle is not super big or super uncomfortable, but it's on the medium to large, size. I've definitely seen much larger nozzles, and I've seen a lot more like smaller nozzles as well. The nozzle is not too deep, but it's a little slightly too thick for it. But it's not a deal breaker for me. It's not gonna be. Oh, sorry. It's not gonna be a deal breaker for you. And I was kind of people who was kind of worried about the fit from the nozzle size, because I had been burned before by one of my IEMs from the past times. That it's gonna give me bad fits and it's gonna hurt in my ear. But yeah, it's definitely not the case. It's not the most comfortable nozzle, but you can definitely get used to it quite easily. And maybe you cannot wear this as much as your other IEMs. My other IEMs are more comfortable, but this isn't uncomfortable either. I can live with this thing a little less. It puts a little bit more pressure in my ear canal, which is totally fine. You can go with using this thing for like 2-3 hours of consecutive use, and you're gonna be fine. And then you're gonna start to get tired. Your ears are gonna get a little bit tired. So yeah, that's all there is to talk about. The shells, the ear tips, the cable, the accessories, the drivability, the scalability, and I don't think there's anything else to talk about. Let me take a look. Yeah, so that leads us to talking about what's really important, the sound on this thing. And we're gonna go ahead and talk about the sound on this thing, and I'm gonna break it down. But first, I'm gonna give it a general explanation of the sound. Over here, what is the sound characteristics? Well, there's a lot of people calling this neutral. I would agree, but it's a neutral bright, right? There's a different levels of the brightness. I would call there's like between neutral and bright. If there's bright IEMs and there's neutral IEMs, there are neutral with a hint of brightness. There are neutral bright. There are bright with a hint of neutrality, I guess you could say. And there are bright IEMs, and there are like super sibilant, super bright IEMs. So this one sits slightly below the average middle line. it's a neutral bright IEM, right? It's not everything. It's more than a hint, but it's not as much as to call this thing a bright IEM, right? Still, I would say the general sound, the general profile over here of the sound signature is neutrality, is more mostly with some brightness to it, right? It's more than a hint, but it's not super bright that it would make the IEM to be completely a bright sound signature. I would describe it as bright sound signature. So, yeah, that's the general sound signature explanation. And what you hear in your mix, in your music mostly, yeah, the layers that you're hearing, the most emphasized layer is the treble first. And it could say the treble and the mids are neck and neck. Maybe mids a little bit behind treble, but in your mix you're hearing the treble and the mids, the most clear ones. They are the most prominent in your mix, in your music. And then behind those two sits the bass. And yeah, there's a difference, there's a distance between the bass and these two other layers, and which I'm gonna talk about all these things in the detailed part, which is now. So let's start with talking about the treble. And I have to say, the treble and this thing, I cannot give enough praise to it. It's an excellent, most beautiful praise. If there's any hype about it, any super hype about it and about this IEM, on the internet, I think it deserves it just for the treble, because the treble on this thing is the treble that I only hear on like $200, $300 IEMs that are super sophisticated and detailed treble that has been fine-tuned so well, and there are no weird picks that are annoying, but it's giving you a lot of crispiness and details to it. It doesn't even become bright or sibilant at all. The general tonality of the treble over here is excellent. It's I would say it's natural, right? There's a lot of IEMs, especially the more expensive ones like the Blessing 3, Blessing 2, Moondrop, Blessing 2, that have this. They have their excellent treble that are like very super detailed, super crisp. It sounds good on paper, but it's not completely natural. It's slightly exaggerated, or it has a characteristics. Or some of other trebles have some wetness to them, dryness, or like some unnaturalness and metallic timbre. This one does not have any of those issues. The treble over here is very natural. Here how I would describe this thing, especially with drums of hi-hats and snares. It feels like as if you're sitting right next to a drum set, right next to you in the same room. Every sound that you're hearing with the drums and the snares sounds like exactly you're in the presence of that hit, right? It sounds really natural. The timbre on it, it decays and it wobbles and slightly spreads like water. Like it's a very beautiful treble that's really natural too. So it doesn't go that way of like having a weird timbre, weird tonality that's really detailed and really good, but it feels a little unnatural. No, definitely here it doesn't feel at all fatiguing. Just the treble itself, it doesn't have feel super sibilant. And I'm not talking about the general sound signature. I'm talking about the treble. The treble over here sounds very natural. That's how I would describe it. It's super detailed, super crisp. There's no weird picks on it. Maybe I don't want to mention this, but maybe there's like a pick around 8K, 10K, a slight pick, but not much. You're not gonna notice it. Trust me. Trust me. This is a very excellent one. That is like I would call this the king of treble. Yeah, it's worth all the praise that it's getting for the treble of it. Yeah, it's a kind of treble you're not getting in this price range, right? If you're gonna get it like so much fine tuned and such detailed and like enjoyable treble, yeah, definitely you're gonna go ahead and like look for in the much more expensive IEM's price range. So in that sense, I believe this is like kind of competing with those, just in tonality, yeah, in this area, in this range of treble. So yeah, again, it's very natural. There's no peaks on it. There's no dips. It's very beautiful, and that leads me to talking about the mids over here. And again, the mids are great. Again, if you talk about the mids itself, the mids itself, again, it doesn't have any weird tonality. That's what I would call. That's what I would describe with this IEM again. Like the mids on it, there's no weird picks. There's no weird emphasize or exaggeration on higher treble or lower mids. I'm sorry, higher mids or lower mids. If I have to say, like this has a more of a middle mid frequencies, slightly exaggerated, which gives a kind of characteristic that's really, really sophisticated, and it feels really natural. It doesn't have a direct effect on your mids, on your vocals and anything in the mids frequencies like the guitars, electric guitars. But it fills it, it makes it quite belty and powerful. But yeah, there's no exaggeration, there's no emphasis on the lower mids. It's a very average and well controlled lower mids. It doesn't give this thing a sensation of having like a rich and thick foundation of lower mids. No, but it also does not go towards the being thin at all. Same thing with the higher mids too. It doesn't go like around that part of being like called, it's like it becomes shouty or shrill at all. No, it doesn't also feel pulled back that it sounds like slightly unclear. No, again, it's just threading that needle, threading that line of like average in this mid frequencies as well, and the timbre and tonality on this again very natural. But I do want to mention one thing about it, and that is the combination of the higher treble, the treble in general, and with the mids on this thing. They work hand in hand really well too, because those higher trebles being slightly emphasized compared to other IEMs, it gives it like this airy feeling to the mids too, like especially with singers, just male or female. There's a lot of like breathiness and airiness to the sound, like especially when the track is not so crowded. You can hear a lot of there's like a lot of different throat details in this, like the singer's sound. There's a lot of like throat sounds, like breathy sounds. You can hear this things like, you know, these small and nuanced details in the sound of the mids and the vocals. That's gonna come from the treble, details of the treble to this thing. And yeah, it's just these two working hand in hand pretty well, and they give the sensation of the mids over here being super detailed and super clear, and also super natural too. It's not exaggerated in any area. Yeah, I would say it's natural and neutral in this mids and treble area too. Like this kind of mid characteristics is a very sophisticated mids that I'm just, if I'm thinking about mids, the best mids, I would be like thinking about like a Sennheiser HD6 series headphones. They have like very beautiful and natural mids, which is kind of similar to this thing, right? And yeah, this is a kind of a DNA of mids and treble that's just gonna, that doesn't go for anything especially like in one way or another. It sits in the middle, but it sounds really beautiful. It's a really natural representation of the treble, of, you know, just that any instruments in that area, clean like guitars, electric guitars, female vocals, male vocals, again snares, hi-hats, your drums, any other instruments, bells, triangles in this frequencies, and it sounds really excellent. There's no compromises in any areas in this too. And yeah, which leads me to talking about the last aspect of this thing, which is the bass. And there's a key phrase in this review that I'm gonna come back to, and it's called 2 out of 3 things are great about this IEM. And that's where the great things end with this IEM. The bass is quite lacking over here. So before I like really take a dump on this thing and like complain about the bass over here, I want to mention 2 things. First of all, I think this is an intentional bass, and I don't think that they like failed at making the bass over here. I think this is exactly the sound signature and tuning that they went with and they wanted to go for, and that means that they're gonna just really pull back. Not really, okay, they're gonna pull back. They want to pull back on the bass to let the mids and the treble shine. This is the sound signature that they're going for. And actually, I've heard this thing. This is a sound signature, again, on the Blessing too, that a lot of other IEMs on those higher expensive ones go for, especially before. Like nowadays, there's a lot of like new changes, especially with the meta, making like there's a lot of bass boosts and like richer bass and richer higher lower mids. I'm sorry. Yeah, especially these days there's a lot of more of that, like the like Duno Da Vinci and yeah, other IEMs too. But back then, especially like 2 or 3 years ago, that wasn't the case. Usually the higher expensive IEMs were going for the like a tuning like this thing, and had the same DNA as this thing, and the bass on them was pretty polite. And this goes the same way that they used to go. And yeah, the bass on this thing, first of all, let me describe the bass profile on this thing. The bass profile on this thing is sub bassy, right? There's no mid bass on it. There's really mid bass is really lacking. So if you're into those like aggressive pluckiness of the, especially like the electric bass guitar sounds, those like pluckiness, those aggressiveness, those grittiness, those grudginess of the bass in your music, this is not there. But if you're into those boomy, like say rumbly bass, sub bassy sound that's like in hip hop, I would say, like digital, like no, not digital, electronic music. Yeah, that sounds really good over here. Because the sub bass over here, this is a sub bass dominant sound signature of the bass, and bass is really good in the sub bass too, and it's really powerful. And if the music has it, like I was listening to the other day to the Adagio for strings, there was like a DJ mix of it, electronic mix of it. I was listening to that thing, and this thing had a lot of those sub bassy sounds, and it sounds really powerful and rumbly with those things. And even I would put on my other like more bass dominant IEMs, and it wouldn't hit as much and as good as that this one was, because that song was really sub bass dominant. And I believe I don't listen to a lot of like hip hops or like electronic music that much, but if you're a person who's into that more, yeah, this is sounds really good too. So definitely don't slip on this thing, and don't think that the bass is bad. But I want to say that the bass on this thing, it's not a prominent bass, it's sub bassy. And definitely any kind of music you have, and I do want to emphasize that now. Also, I am saying that it doesn't have a lot of bass, but your music, any music that you're listening to, you are definitely gonna be able to hear the bass line easily, right? The bass is separated, it's sub bassy, but it's separated. It's not like bleeding at all into any other parts of your music. So it's just letting those mids and the trebles shine, and it's just behind all those things to support and give a foundation to those things. So if you're mostly into those other things and mids and trebles and basses afterthought, it's a great thing. This is a great tuning, great sound signature with it. And yeah, so the bass profile is sub bassy, and it sounds really good. Like if it's the kind of a bass, if your music has it and you want to listen to the bass line, you can easily quickly just hear it. Oh yeah, there's the bass lines. You can follow it up easily in your like any kind of music you are listening, like jazz. You're hearing the bass line, but it's not an impressive thing that's just doing like some super detailed, defined around the edges bass. No, it's the bass line is there. It's clean. It's analytical. Yeah, and it's could be enjoyable too. Like you're gonna hear the bass line anytime you want it, right? It's not lacking that area that is, oh, where's the bass, and it's ruining the music at all. No, it's not that. That's not the case at all. But it's not the kind of bass that's like you're sitting there and it comes ahead and grabs your attention and like listen to me and like really rock out to that part of your song, especially if it's like a acoustic bass, or the bass that's kind of like a gritty, more grudgy bass. Yeah, it's not that. So yeah, that's my impression of the bass, mids, and the treble, and the details of the sound signature over here. I'm definitely cutting down this review and talking about this thing. Definitely, if I wanted to go ahead and mention and talk about the smaller nuances in any of these areas, I would be sitting here for like 2 hours. And I could do that, but I'm sure you're not gonna listen to me talk about this thing for 2 hours. But yeah, this is the sound signature description. And let me know if I missed out on anything of that sound signature over here. But we're not finished. We have a quite way to go. And next up, yeah, I'm going to talk about technical performance. But before that, let me say that, so with all the things that I described with the sound signature over here, being like neutral, bright, how the treble and the mids are the more emphasized on, they're more prominent in your mix, and the bass is the foundation behind that. What is the sound impression that you're getting? This is a sound that's like really analytical, and it's super detailed, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a super detailed sound and super analytical. And yeah, if you're just like laying back and you're like sipping some coffee or tea and you're listening to this thing, you're gonna be really impressed. It's the first time I put on this thing, I was really impressed. You're gonna be really impressed every time you hear this thing. There's a lot of details that are coming through from that treble, and the mid sound super crisp and natural. Yeah, that's the general impression that you're getting with this thing. But I want to say, because I've lived with this thing, and I can tell you that it's not a relaxing sound, right? When I'm like, for example, working and I'm listening to music, I don't want the music and the details and the treble to be just right in my face and just constantly distracting me and not letting me focus. I want it to be pulled back a little bit, step back. This is not a relaxed sound, right? This is not a relaxing set. You cannot pull back. It's constantly, especially the treble, it is constantly in your face, and it's just asking for attention immediately. And you're paying attention. It sounds really good, but if you don't want to like pay attention to the details that is just giving you, throwing it in your face and in your face, you're gonna be annoyed a little bit, and it's a sound that's fatiguing, I would say, because of all the things that I described. It's not a relaxing, warm, and cozy sound. It could get really intense. It's not intense on the first impression, but like you listen to this thing for like 40 minutes, you're gonna be fatigued a little bit. Unless that's just right up your alley and you have different habits of listening to music, you want this set to actually sit down and listen to music, analyze things. But yeah, it depends on your preferences of how you listen to music, right? That's what I wanted to mention, because I lived with this thing and it would fatigue me after a while. It's not a sound that I could just relax and it will give me the details and the warmth and the coziness that I wanted when I wanted to focus on something else. It just requires your attention. This thing grabs your attention, requires your attention all the time. So let me stop stalling and go ahead talking about the technical performance now. And the technical performance, again, on this thing, that seems to be a strength on it, that a lot of reviewers say that the technical performance is great. And I will have to kind of half and half, again, I agree with that. It's usually true, but with some caveats, right? Again, details on this thing. Firstly, I want to mention the details. Again, the details, because of everything I mentioned about the treble, there's a lot of details that are coming through. First, when I got this thing, I went from like my $20 IEM, budget IEM, to this thing, which is around $80, I think. That's the impression that I got, was like I was really, really impressed, right? I had the same level of like sound improvement that I went from nothing or like shitty earbuds to a $20 IEM. And the next step of improvement from $20 IEM to this thing was the same experience that I had later too, right? It's the same amount of jump that I'm trying to say that. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of details. You put this thing in your ear and you're gonna hear a lot of details and nuances in your vocals, in your treble, especially like drums. I did not know that drums had so many like intricacies and small details and nuances with them, especially hi-hats and snares and stuff like that. And yeah, it's gonna sound really good. It's gonna give you a lot of details. It's a very, very detailed IEM, and it's because of the tuning partly. And again, but the technical performance is great in the details area. Yeah, I think I explained to you everything I need to mention about the details. And what else though? Yeah, I want to talk about the imaging and positioning. Again, there's one other strength of this IEM in the technical performance is the imaging and positioning. I've seen some other like gaming channels and stuff on YouTube say that this is an excellent IEM for gaming, and I would have to kind of agree with that, right? I'm not a gamer myself. I don't usually play games, but I do sometimes. And yeah, I would have to say, out of all the IEMs that I have in this price range, yeah, this one's the best suited for gaming. That's because of the image. First of all, because of the detailing. You're gonna hear a lot of details. Like for example, there's like a sound that's coming from there, and it's like you can hear different types of footsteps or different kind of like gunshots that are not, you weren't hearing them before, but because this is so detailed, you're hearing like, oh yeah, this is a slightly different shot from that one. This footstep feels different, heavier than that one. Yeah, you're gonna hear a lot of details for this thing. I cannot emphasize enough that the details on this thing, it's really stellar and excellent detailing performance. So if you're someone who has the ear for details in your music or even gaming, definitely go with this thing. The representation of the sounds feels really lifelike, right? Like the footsteps feel really lifelike. You're walking on grass, feels like really good sound. You're gonna hear a lot of details in those and like micro nuances with it. But most importantly is the imaging performance and positioning on this thing, which is excellent. So What do I mean by imaging here? Well, imaging is the ability to position where is the sound coming from. So with this thing, it's an excellent, again, just like the details, the positioning and the imaging performance on this thing is excellent. Like you're gonna be able to hear the sound. Like if I was like playing games and I would hear like a footstep over here and it just slightly moved like to that side, like 1 meter, right? I was like hearing like footsteps from like couple of like far away, like at least two walls between me and the sound. And I would hear it if it would just slightly move to the side, and I could easily tell like it moves around in this positioning of the 360-degree field. So this is really great in that area, especially with your music too. It's not just about for games, right? For your music, you're gonna hear like the, especially with the drums. The drums are usually positioned in the back of you, so like usually you hear the like the toms over here. Like there's a couple of toms usually. I'm not sure if I'm calling them right. Is it toms? You can hear it like doom 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 doom. You can hear it. It's moving around behind you. You're able to hear like, oh yeah, this one is this one toms is like this instrument is slightly positioned right next to that one, and there's a more difference like a distance between this and this one. When they're playing the sound, you can hear the sound like moving over here with every instrument, right? And it depends on the mix also, right? It's not you're hearing with like bad mix. If it's mixed well, recorded well, yeah, you're gonna hear that details like this movement and positioning and imaging in your music very well too. Like if there's a sound that's coming from there, like you can hear like there's a singer over there usually. Usually singer is in your head but then just moves around like in a stereo sense between your ears. But drums are usually positioned behind you. And yeah, there's like some kind of like electric guitar to the left or right and the bass to the left or right. And yeah, it depends on your mix, but you're gonna be able to really have an enjoyable time with the positioning. Again, with games or with music too. It's gonna translate in both those areas. The positioning and the imaging performance is really great. And the details is excellent as well. And the separation, yeah, that's just, you can say, as I described, the separation is great too. Like there's nothing bad about it. There's no like muffledness. There's no sounds getting mixed up together. No, definitely they stay separated. Like if I'm hearing a couple of footsteps over there that are on the same level, in the same position, yeah, I can still tell them apart. That yeah, they're different sounds. Maybe that's because of the detailing. I'm not sure the definition of these concepts kind of falls apart when you get too much into them. But yeah, for that, as far as that goes, yeah, that's it. But again, same key phrase that I explained earlier. Two out of three things on this thing are great. And that leads me to talking about the not so great aspect of technical performance on this thing, and that is the sound stage. But firstly, I want to mention that the sound stage over here, it's not non-existent, right? It's not like the non-existent sound stage that's just completely inside your head. It's every sound is coming from inside your head. No, it has some sound stage. It's on the same level of your $20 IEMs if you have one. It's just slightly better than those things, but it's just, I would say the soundstage on this thing is okay, right? It's not good, it's not great, it's not excellent, but it's okay. It's not horrible, it's not bad that it's just ruining your music and you feel like, ew, like what is that? It's just disgustingly, everything is inside your head. As I said, that wouldn't work with the imaging and positioning, right? But it sounds really close and intimate. There's a slight like width, like I don't know, farness to the sound stage. It's just very small, right? The feeling that you get when you're here, when you're wearing this IEM, is that if this is your head, let's say, you're hearing a slight like sphere around your head. Like the sphere doesn't go far at all. It's just a sphere that's like really close around your head, and you can hear in this sphere that's around your head. You can hear the positioning of sounds, but if there's a sense of like distance between those sounds, like oh that sound is further away from this sound, you're not gonna hear that at all. Like the sounds is like, oh yeah, that sound is coming from there, and there's a dot over there that's just producing that sound, and it's coming towards you. There's a sound over there that's coming to you, right? That's the that's the impression that you're getting with this thing. There's not a big sound stage performance over here. It's very minimal, and it's okay. Like it's not a, again, it's not something that's bad and it's gonna ruin everything. It's, I think again, with same thing with the bass. This is intentional, I believe. I believe the performance of imaging that is so good with this thing, it comes from the soundstage being narrow. If you can't really achieve that well with the big and like spacious soundstage. But yeah, soundstage again, one weakness out of this thing. 2 out of 3 things are great about this thing. And yeah, I think that's technical performance. I do have more to say about technical performance, which I will talk about it in the next part, which is now in the comparison. Well, maybe I should say just comparison only, because I only have one other comparison over here, and that's this IEM in this price range. I'm gonna put it out. There you go. This is, I'm gonna put this aside and put this right next to each other. This is Moondrop Aria 2, right? This is around, again, like $80-90, and this is $80. So they are kind of literally in the same kind of price range. So there are a lot of other good options in this price range, but I don't have them, and I haven't heard them, and I don't own them, so I can't really talk about it. Unfortunately, I would have loved to mention all those things, but there's a lot of good options in this price range, like the Duno Titan S2, not Stu, Duno Titan S2, Awful Explorer. That one's a little bit more expensive. Yeah, there are a couple of good options in this price range, but right now I want to talk about the difference between these two, because they are very, very different, and they're both really, really good. And like everything that this IM is and isn't, this one isn't and is. Okay? Yeah, let me talk about that. As you can see, like the build quality, this one's metal. This has this interchangeable connector over here. As you can like change the cable. It looks really different. It's like the dark side and the light side. I don't know. Yeah, sorry, that's a bad joke. Yeah, but what about the sound? Okay, let's go talk about the sound between these two. As I said, everything this thing isn't, this thing is, and that I want to mention about the bass, right? If I want to like compare this thing in the bass, like immediately, the bass on this thing is excellent. So if you're bass head and looking for the bass, this is excellent. And not just the quantity, the bass profile is completely different. This is a mid bass heavy sound. There is some like sub bass extension on this thing, but it doesn't. It's not prominent. What is prominent is the mid bass. So the mid over here is like super like aggressive. There's everything that I think this doesn't have, like those grittiness, those like edges around it, like those aggressiveness with the bass, those plucks of being super heavy, like those plucks and wavy sound of the bass. It's a groovy bass. Yeah, it's over here. Everything that this thing doesn't have, this thing has. It's a different profile. It's a different characteristics. There's more amount of it here, but also the quality of the bass over here is actually really good. The bass on this thing has super like nuances and details around the edges. There's a definition. Like I would watch other reviewers talk about like saying that the bass is definitive. Like there's around the edges, there's a definition around the edges for the bass on that IEM, and I was like, I wasn't sure what that means really, but I actually do understand that what it means with this IEM right here. Like I was hearing like small details and nuances around the edges of the bass on this thing, like small details of like those plucks of the guitars that just makes the bass experience on this thing really, really enjoyable. And that means that these two have completely different, I wouldn't say completely, but they have different sound signature over here. As I described, this thing is a neutral with a hint of bright, with neutral bright. I would say this is neutral warm, right? It's like different tilt in the other direction completely. And that means that the bass on this thing is gonna be really, really better and superior to bass on this thing. But on the other hand, if I have to describe this too, on the mids and on the treble. Well, let's start with treble. Treble over here, you heard everything great that I explained about this thing. Compared to this thing, yeah, this one is better at treble. Like compared to anything in this price range and even higher, the treble on this thing is really better. But again, like this doesn't mean that treble on this thing is bad. It's just completely pulled back. It's not the first prominent thing in your face. Like the bass and the mids are here are prominent, and the treble is pulled back behind those two. So that this is a completely different listening experience with it. So this one's like a relaxing, warm, cozy sound that you can just it's a warm sound that you can relax to. And yeah, the treble is really good. It's decent. I would say this is a good treble for its price, but this isn't excellent for its price. This performs as good as I expected to, but this like exceeds my expectations. The treble over here is like good, but it's pulled back, right? Again, this is like a totally different beast in that area. But on the mids, I kind of want to give the edge to Hexa, but again, it's a preference thing at this point. The mids on these two IEMs are really both good, but they go for different like preferences and characteristics. So I couldn't say like this is a better or this one is better. My preferences for the mids over here are like laying over here, but I can totally see if you have a person with a different preferences, the mids over here are different. They have different tonality of mids. The tonality, I described this thing, it's a natural mids that's not exaggerated in lower or higher mids. It's like a very decent one that's complemented by the treble. It's like a super detailed and super natural mids and vocals experience, right? But with this thing, the mids over here are emphasized slightly on the lower mids, so that makes the sound to be like every note weight of the like especially male vocals feel much richer, thicker and heavier, right? If those it feels really more powerful, especially with the male vocals. It's because it's emphasized around the bass and the lower mids. But yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say it's slightly colored. It's not completely natural. This one is completely natural representation. It's really good. It's super detailed. But this thing over here is, again, it's emphasized on the lower mids. It sounds really thick and heavy and comfortable and cozy. And it's really enjoyable if that's what you like. And that's your preferences. So again, different tonality. Take your pick. I would prefer this because it wouldn't fatigue me in the long listening time run. But again, like maybe like objectively, this is a better sound on the mids too. But again, I'm gonna keep the tie for the mids between these two. Sorry if I'm blabbering a little bit. I kind of feel tired. I've been talking for a long time. Sorry if this video got like long. I wanted to be a definitive review, but again, this could have been much longer. I'm kind of trying to like speed run through it, but we're almost done. So I compared this to in all those areas. And what about the technical performance? Again, same thing. Like everything this isn't, this is. Technical performance over here. Well, first let's start with the details. And you would think I would give the details immediately to the Hexa, and I kind of would, but details in the mids and the treble over here, yeah, there's a lot of details with this thing. This is generally a sound signature that's super detailed. But, and yeah, I would say this thing wins in details, but there's a caveat, and the caveat is that you want the details in bass. Definitely, it's not no-brainer. There's a lot of details with your bass. Again, I said the quality of the bass is different too. It's not just the quantity and the sound, like the bass profile that's different. If that was the case, I would say it's completely subjective to your preferences, right? But that's not the case. Even the bass quality and the details of the bass, like again those edges and the micro nuances in your bass, yeah, over here is really good. So yeah, again, if you are a sucker for like a mids and treble, you don't care about much about the bass. Yeah, the details are here are obviously much more and much better. But if you just want the details in the bass, yeah, definitely this one's a winner in the details of bass only. But I would say you could say this wins 2-1. But yeah, again, that's you be the judge of that. Yeah, that's my impression of the details. And what about the positioning and imaging? Again, same thing I explained about the, I think mids. The imaging positioning on this thing and like the separation and imaging, I said that, sorry. This thing is really great, as I explained, and this thing is good, right? This is no slouch. This is not a bad imaging performance, but this thing goes another step. So I would say this is a winner, but it's not by like a landslide. It's not a huge. It's like a complete victory win over here. It's better, but this one's still competitive. This one is what I sounds like the positioning and imaging performance that I would expect from an IEM in this price range. It's just completely capable, like with the other IEMs in this price range, but this one is beating out the competition in that regard only, right? So yeah, that's the difference between the positioning. But again, soundstage, Again, everything that this doesn't have, this thing does. And the soundstage, this one is completely winner. And that's like the issue over here, right? Because the soundstage is just with this thing. I don't want to get into talking about it too much. If you want a review of this thing, I'm gonna publish the review, record a review of the Moondrop Aria 2 next. So stay tuned, like and subscribe if you want to see that. And but the soundstage over here is like very spacious, and that it has like a different, complete different experience. Like it's this spacious soundstage around you, and every sound is like very far away to. It's like much more wider. It's not like super wide, but it's definitely compared to this thing is much wider. It's much more open, spacey sounds like it's like soundstage feeling, and like you can hear like if there's a sound that's closer to, if you hear a music like instrument that's positioned like close, or another one that's like positioned further back slightly, there's some distance between them, close, being close and far, you're hearing with this thing. As of with this thing undescribed, you're not hearing the positioning of the farness, you know, you're hearing the positioning in this like area around it, but in the width of the soundstage over here is really bad. With this thing, it's the opposite. It's, you can hear the differences. There's a completely, you can hear the distances between the instruments and sounds with this thing. It's like you're in a hall, you're in a big place, and like you can hear, oh, this one's closer sounding, that one's closer. Oh, the like the this instrument moved from like being further back and it came closer a little bit. You have that feeling, right? You're hearing like your music instrument, like there's one over here and there's one over there. You're hearing that big distance between them, and that distance is not only like in this axis, it's just only in this axis too. So that gives you a total different experience when you're listening to this thing. You have this experience of like, you know, there's this sound that's coming from here. This sound is not a dot that's coming from here. You can hear it like it's vibrating and it's like radiating sound in other directions. It's really hard to explain, but it's like every instrument, every sound has like a space of itself by to itself, and it's just radiating in different directions. You're hearing, oh yeah, there's a big distance between this instrument and that instrument. As of with this thing, you don't have that. You don't have that impression. And I do want to mention one thing. It's like, see, this is where the definitions of these details and like soundstage, of these like technical performance subjects, like becomes a question. It's like it's not super clear because of this like experience. Like every sound has like some spaciness to it, and there's a distance. There's a good this noticeable difference between instruments, which is not over here. You're hearing a different like details. You're hearing some kind of details between the edges of your sounds that are coming towards you that you weren't hearing with this thing, right? So can I say the details in this thing are completely a winner? No, but this has. I was definitely this. I was really surprised by that impression when I was listening to this thing, which I did go back and forth, and I was like, yeah, I'm not imagining this thing. I am hearing a kind of details with this thing that is not the same kind of details that I'm hearing with this thing. This one with this thing, I'm hearing some details, definitely a lot of details I wasn't with this, but with this thing, I was hearing another kind of details that I wasn't with this thing. Not just with the bass, but also with that like kind of the soundstage impression feeling. So it's really hard to say like what is really details. I did my best to try to describe the impressions, the feelings that I got listening to this thing. I did a lot of A/B testing, and yeah, I think that wraps up my review. There's nothing to talk about. Again, technical performance, I described everything there's to know about it. And let me take a look. Yep, that's all my notes. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. And so, yeah, this little quick conclusion and outro. So, Truthear Hexa. Does it live up to the hype? Yeah, I would say, and not really. I would say this is a great set. This is completely, I would recommend to this thing. But if all the things that I described with this thing, like your listening habit, it's not a relaxing sound. If you have the ear for detail, you want the details. You prefer a more better imaging performance compared to soundstage. You prefer natural tonality, this kind of like natural tonality with a lot of details. This is a set completely for you. It's gonna be an excellent choice. And even if it's not a kind of sound preference that you'll have, like this is still an impressive sound. I wouldn't think this kind of sound signature is down to my preferences, But again, anytime I would hear this thing, I'm not bothered, I'm not annoyed, I'm still impressed every time I listen to this thing. So yeah, I would have to say like this is a really great set. But is it like a killer of any other IEM competitive? Is it beating out all the competition? Is it a no-brainer that I'm gonna recommend over anything in this price range? Well, as I just explained it to you with the Moondrop Aria 2, right? It's not that's completely not the case, right? It's a very good and competitive IEM, and if I have to like even like pick top five IEMs and under sub hundred under $100, this one would be one of them for sure. This is an excellent set, but I wouldn't say that it's like completely beating out everything else in this price range. It's not a completely winner, and yeah, it's a really good and capable sound, especially if you have those preferences. You're a sucker for details and treble, especially for treble. Like I would say the treble over here, you're not gonna get it on anything else in this price range. That's one thing that's really outstanding. But everything else about it, yeah, that's my impression of this IEM, and I would definitely give it as a recommendation, and I would give it a rating of uh, 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's a really great set. And so yeah, let me know if I forgot to mention and talk about anything about this thing. If you have any questions about any areas of the sound impressions over here, any kind of questions you might have about comparisons with Aria 2 or any other IM that I didn't mention, yeah, you can ask your questions. At least if I don't know, I can refer you to someone or some post or video that definitely knows, some people that might know. And let me know if you have any questions. So tune in for the next review of the Aria 2 and more IMs and earbuds in the future. I'm getting my hand of earbuds soon. And let me know if you have any questions, suggestions, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day and goodbye.